is the 2nd of November. Room on Fresno Street. And we're doing it again, folks. We're back in action for more Ace Attorney. Great Ace Attorney attract. The 2nd of November. Room on Fresno Street. And we're back in action for more Great Ace Attorney 2. Resolve Attraction. That's right. We're trying to figure out what happened with the Reaper coming into this place, investigating Grayson. And honestly, fam, there might be a little bit more here than what meets the eyes, like a transformer or tofu if it's actually prepared properly. Examining the photograph of Miss Viegel. Realizing the identity of this lady was a very great clue to exposing Mr. Gossip's true identity. He obviously loves his wife very dearly, which is why he felt he couldn't tell her the truth. The transformation was incredible, wasn't it? Just from the big twisted lip? Yes, he went to extraordinary efforts to play the part of a huge bone convincingly. Although, it didn't really seem like it was much of an effort to me. Now you say it, I have to agree. It's almost as if that was Mr. Virgil's true character. People really are hard to fathom at times. Nothing here? Oh, Zolcho? Okay. There are details of cases stretching back over 10 years on the notice board. Yes, the history of Lord Van Zeek's defeats in court. I don't think that's an appropriate description. Though, when you consider everything on the board, it's certainly true that all these people had a background in dubious dealings. And in the end, of course, the board itself concealed the inspector's own death. Oh my, it really does bear thinking about. Nobody else here? Nobody but us plumbers? Oh. Catches your eye as soon as you enter the room, doesn't it? It's such a bright color, it certainly makes an impression, yes. Can't possibly commit any crimes, can they? I mean, redheads stand out like a sore thumb. I'm afraid with our jet black Japanese hair, we stand out almost as much here in London. Ah, I suppose that's true. You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruto. I wasn't! This revolver, just who does it belong to? Well, we know it's the type issued to members of the police force and judiciary. But Gregson's own gun was found on his person. And of course, Lord Van Zeeks is admitted to losing the firearm with which he was issued. So it's absent-mindedness, not dissimilar to you, Mr. Naruto. I'm starting to think the cold, hard prosecutor and I could become friends after all. Then I wish you every success. New boyfriend? New boyfriend? I never have imagined that this little figurine would turn out to be a winding key. I suppose it's a policeman because the pocket watch was a gift from Scotland Yard. Seems there was much more to Inspector Grayson than we ever realized. He was clearly a brilliant man. It's the fish and chips that threw us off. Well, as though it ruined his image. I really don't think we should blame one of Britain's staple cuisines. Think about it. Imagine if it was Mr. Sloane's. How would you feel if instead of that old briber pipe that's always in his hand, Mr. Sloane's had a bag of chips? Rather disappointed, if I'm honest. Exactly! I'm just saying you can blame British cuisine for anything and everything. That's all I'm saying. I don't think there's any doubt to never blame it. Using a candle as a timer device? Very ingenious, I must say. Yes, the culprit arranged it so that the firecrackers would be set off at 5 o'clock and then left. The loud bang was heard at precisely the moment Lord Van Zieks arrived. Yes. Only hadn't picked up the gun from before. Something you probably told yourself once upon a time, I imagine. Yes, I've learned that lesson by bitter experience. I would have turned and run a mile for sure. Which may not have done you any favors either. It turns out that Grayson didn't actually die in here at all. Where on earth could he have been killed? Well, one way or another, we must find out for the inspector's sake. You know, you look awfully pale again today, Mr. Naruto. Sorry. When I start thinking it all through, I conjure up some horrible images in my mind. Your imagination is the culprit here, then. Most certainly. Well, fine then. Jeez. Sorry. I guess that's all there is to it. We don't really have anybody else we could talk to. I was kind of surprised that we just don't have anybody. But let's see. Let's talk to Kazuma. The 2nd of November. Prosecutor's office. Kazuma? I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Renosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? That you have the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believe that you fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom, so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. And I am truly thankful for you, Judicial Assistant Amika Toba. Renosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisioned it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. About how Susato's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jingaku. And about what happened with your father. And you'll have no difficulty understanding why I have no choice. Why I have to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Renosuke Naruto. Okay, but first, do the usual. Kazuma, this is your armband. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're a defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Kazuma? So you keep hold on that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. The armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure. Thank you, my friend. Oh, so sweet. Alright then. What is goal to examine? Lord Van Zieks' fine collection of hollow chalices and bottles, all neatly lined up. Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regiment for everything, from the storage of the caskets to the bottling of their contents. Gosh, he must be having a real tough time of it being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh? He's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. About weird. Right? There's Lord Van Zeek's incredibly stylish desk. Not my style, though. No, I noticed you've been working at the little table on the floor, kneeling down Sensa style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zeeks when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple minutes of sitting with my legs folded under me, I start to go tingly. Don't exaggerate, Ryunosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute. Damn. I know my boyfriend too well. Alert. Alright, what else we got here? Do you know who the man in the portrait is? Why would I? What? But you're Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Yes, apprentice, not friend. And during the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture. Oh, really? I mean, it's like the smallest picture. I wouldn't have the first idea of what the man decorates his office with. You wouldn't? But, like, you worked here. What the? It's a scale model of the crime scene. Oh, yes, I realize that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case? Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you haven't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that. It's really cutesy. I like it a lot. I love these. I love miniatures so much. I cannot express enough. Like how kind of insane. I go cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs. Guess it's floor to ceiling, just like last time we were here. Hollowed barrels, I suppose. They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. Every week, they're all taken out and put back in order. What? Every week? Lord Van Zeeks can't seem to settle on the perfect way to arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide. That's the trouble. Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge. Actually, no. Oh? Considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else. So he does it entirely on his own. So he's a pair of laughs here and in the court, then. Damn! Fucker Ryunosuke is just so fucking sassy sometimes. Holy shit. Alright, Kazuma. Let's talk about your father. Ever since I first met you in Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke. I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago. When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. Told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. was Professor Mikotoba. Your father, Susato-san. Oh my. Ever since then, Professor was very good to me. Even helped to fund my university education at Yume. Before ever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he told me. Oh? Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Osugi name. Oh no! As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. Whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary. He could have been present at the closed trial. The letter reveals that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. Someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. Still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included for the letter. It was the first I ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. Well, what did my father have to say about the letter? I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. It couldn't have been easy for him. He'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jingaku. To the other visiting student? He fluttered for the briefest of moments, and he just laughed the letter off. And in the moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his pose. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief. She too passed away. It's when I made up my mind. One day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. Truth about my father, Genshin Osugi. And I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. Oh, Kazuma-sama. It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Buria. We're heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain. And a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I lost my best friend forever. Must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room, a little posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in a cabin on a ship. I slipped out of the room, headed onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes. I didn't know what had happened, or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something you have to do. Something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship, and we were docked in a large port. It must have been Hong Kong. Yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. Yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea the situation. I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. But I concealed myself among this embarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowd streets of that foreign port city. So I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. What? He went all the way from China? It's under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me. I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. Sights, sounds, smells. My head reels. I was truly at a loss. I realize now that I escaped as a dead man, with nothing but my clothes on my back. No money, of course. How terrifying for you. Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose? That's right. On the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on the cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. The man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name. He still managed to make this way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I moved heaven and earth to get here to that point. So how did he end up becoming Lord Van Zeek's apprentice then? That won't be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. See, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard. By sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play. Could that have been your knowledge of the law? Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. Took me back with him to the Supreme Court, assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then, 9 days later, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Drebber. Yes, I did. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Renesque Naruto. Lord Van Zeek isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Grayson himself, the victim, was... It's clear that Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. You mean you knew? The real question is, who's been giving orders to the Inspector? Yes, Rock Von Zeeks is the real Reaper. I know that 10 years ago, it was him. He decided my father must have been a mass murderer and sent him to his grave. No, he was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame. Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool that they use to do it. When a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain, my father would never have taken another man's life. Kazuma. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Oh, damn. He got at us about it. Are we sure we asked everything? Perhaps not. Can we present that to him? Okay, yeah, no, that isn't it. But we haven't asked him everything. It's saying that we haven't. Yeah. Oh my god. Alright. So that's not it. What would I show him? The Red-Headed League. I don't think I have it yet. I don't think I have the thing that I need to show him. So let's go to his bed. Hopefully he's there. The 2nd of November. St. Sinners Hospital. Ward 3. This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things, you'd obviously try to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. We just missed him. Oh! Cosmo beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please don't think like that. Keeping it from Eve, my wife, all these years, I carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Grayson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as a stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help me. Perhaps Grayson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Virgil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it's true. Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all of this off my chest. I want someone to tell me what I should have done. What you should have done? Presento. Mr. Vigil, would you mind casting your eyes over this? My head. It's throbbing. Oh no. It's too soon, Miss Nardo. It's too much for him. It's too much for me seeing him swoon like that. I should lay out the evidence for a while. Okay. Wait a minute. What is... Okay, so that didn't have anything. Wait, what if I look here real quick at this one? I don't think there's gonna be anything here, but like, why did they give us this as evidence? I love the little sweat. Does he have a little thing there, or is that... No, that's just like Crona's hair. Nothing there. His neck is kind of covered. Alright, whatever. That must be something else. Inspector Grayson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. Pretending to be the inspector and carry out investigation on his behalf? Oh no, never! A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specific location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Grayson was here. So that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident? Yes. He asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. Oh, but then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes. So you would also always make a point of showing Grayson's identification and generally being loud? That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. And as you know, I suffer this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. About returning the inspector's identification to you, however. I'd arranged to meet on the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to affect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned. And I have a feeling I know what the loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken to its coffin for immediate burial in Low Gate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief coroner first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. Would wait for the adjacent room for word the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had the confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nailed it shut. For some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. No! I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my debut must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So you mean the coffin contained... Yes, I can only imagine that Osaki, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and disposed in Low Gate Cemetery. Assuming there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long. In the early hours following the burial, Somebody dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Osugi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. Oh? Obviously you knew the man, then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Osugi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially de-establishing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warden, I oversaw his short stay in the cells under his final hours. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men. He was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day,